So at the time I was at home, I was on my computer, and this was at about 1 o'clock.
What floor were you on?
13th floor, and my sister was asleep at the time, and my dad had just gone to drop some family members home. We had just gone out for dinner, and then when he arrived, he happened to be in the lift with someone who lived on the 4th floor. As the doors opened on the 4th floor, he saw a light smoke, and he realised something wasn't right. So he told my mum to go downstairs.
And that was the floor where the fire initially started?
Exactly. And so, he got out of the lift, bolted up the stairs, and opened the door and said, wake up, we need to get ready, we need to go, there's a fire in the building. And then, so my sister woke up. I just picked up things that were closest to me, so I put my keys, my wallet, and my phone, and ran down the stairs. My sister, similar sort of story, but she also picks up her chemistry notes and just ran downstairs and waited in the green bit outside the Grenfell Tower and watching the fire grow and grow.
And that moment, when you saw this tower, how long have you lived there?
I've lived there for 19 years.
Right, for 19 years this has been your home. As you looked up and within minutes saw this tower just erupt into a fireball, what on earth was going through your mind?
Well, at the time, my main priority was trying to distract my sister because, I knew what would be going through her head, especially with an exam that same day.
She's the girl we know who went on and did her exam later that day. Extraordinary courage to do that.
Exactly. And so, my main priority was to make sure that she wasn't, well, as much as possible, not be affected by what was happening.
She's incredible for going, when you say she grabbed her chemistry notes, that was significant, and she was able to do that. You have friends, though, who have died in the fire. You have friends who are missing, presumed dead, which must be a terrible thought to have to process. But also, someone, don't you, whose family are still suffering and being treated. Tell us about that.
So, they're currently in hospital at the moment, and we've been visiting them as much as we possibly can, trying to help out. And because they're in hospital, I feel like they're not getting the necessary help. So, they've been offering, of course, they have been over at the Westway, the Rugby Portobello Trust, they're not receiving, the money that's being given out, or the donations, the food, the clothes, are not being distributed for the people who are still in hospital. We've been talking to him and we've collected some stuff on his behalf.
So this is a guy whose wife and 2 children, is that right, are still being treated?
Yes.
But they're not receiving any of the money?
I think that over the course of the next few days they will eventually receive the money. I'm not sure, but that is...
What do you think? I mean, you have no home, right? So where are you living?
So I'm currently staying at a hotel in Earls Court.
What is the reality of suddenly, after 19 years, being put in a little hotel room and told, this is your life for now?
Well, as much as, it's difficult moving from my home into a hotel, they've extended our stay quite a bit, so they've booked in our hotel for 40 nights. And, for now, there is some degree of stability because at the beginning, before, we were offered a hotel only for 2 nights, and then we had to move. And so, it is mainly just... Now, there is a degree of stability in staying at the hotel, but we are waiting for accommodation to come through. My dad was a leaseholder, so he's not a tenant. So, and there has been a lot of people talk about housing for tenants, but nothing has been said outright what will happen for the leaseholders.
So does that mean that he has to claim on insurance and find a lease elsewhere?
We're not sure. We have been trying to find out. We've been asking at the Westway. We've been asking, the Kensington Law Centre, and no one seems to know anything.
No answers as usual. Wow. Let me ask you, Tiago. They say 79 people died or remain missing in this fire. You know roughly how many people were in that tower block, right?
Yeah.
Do you think the figure, as many locals fear, is considerably higher?
Honestly, I do believe that it is higher. However, all I am going to say is that a lot of people think it might be a cover-up. I'm not sure if that's the case. I think they just want to make sure that the number is correct when they release it. We'll have to wait and see, but hopefully the police do their job.
On a personal level, right, when you've been... I mean, for both of you, really, when you've been involved in something so shocking, so traumatic, what does it do to you as human beings? Now we're 2 weeks on. When you think about what you survived, when you think about how you nearly lost your dad, I mean, just, Tiago, you go first, but what does this do to you emotionally?
Well, you know, it's been quite difficult to get a good night's sleep. You know, there have been times when I've just physically can't fall asleep. It's memories of what happened and just things in general. You know, I have talked to some counsellors and they've said, you know, this is potentially post-traumatic stress disorder, and you know, hopefully this will eventually lead away. But you know, the adrenaline is still here.